I discovered that my wife was unfaithful with a fellow member of my church, so I shared a video of them on the large screen during our Sunday worship. Where are you joining from today? Let me know your area in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this. I'm David, and I once believed the church was a sacred place. I thought it was where people were truthful, where families were kept safe, and where sin was something you admitted to, not something you planned for a regular afternoon. I was incorrect. The church I went to for 10 years, Grace Waters Community Church, was just a show, and my wife, Sarah, was the main player. I met Sarah at a church meal. She was graceful, humble, and sang with the choir in a way that touched everyone. We were married a year later. Everyone said we were the perfect match. I was the dependable, busy husband who owned a successful yard work company. She was the committed wife who led the women's Bible study and planned the charity events. For 7 years, I felt I had a wonderful life. But trouble doesn't always appear clearly. Sometimes it comes dressed well and carrying a holy book. His name was Marcus. Marcus was a respected leader in our community. He was the head deacon. He collected the donations. He was the one who preached from the front when our pastor was away, talking about the sacred bond of marriage. He was older than me, maybe by 10 years, with silver hair and a smile that looked very costly. He was married too, to a soft-spoken, lovely woman named Joyce who taught the Sunday school class. Marcus and I were acquaintances. We played golf. I helped him repair his deck. I trusted him. The clues were small at first. Sarah started to volunteer at the church much more often. She said the choir needed extra practice for the upcoming Easter service. Then it was mentoring for new members. Marcus needs help with the finances, she told me one evening, checking how she looked in the mirror. She was wearing a scent. She never wore scent to talk about money. I'm just going to help him with the documents. You're so kind, dear, I said, giving her a kiss on the cheek. Don't be out too long. I was naive. I was so trusting that it hurts to remember it now. The doubt didn't start until I came home early one Wednesday. A job was cancelled because of rain. I arrived at my house at 2 in the afternoon. Sarah's car was there, which was normal, but another car was parked down the street, a black sedan, Marcus's car. I didn't go in right away. I sat in my truck. I watched. 10 minutes later, Marcus came out of my front door. He glanced around anxiously, fixed his tie, and walked quickly to his car. A moment later, Sarah showed up in the doorway. She was wearing a silky robe. She waved to him. My heart pounded in my chest. I felt like I couldn't get air. I waited until Marcus drove off. Then I went inside. David, Sarah said with a start when she saw me. She held her robe closed. Her face was red. Her hair was untidy. You're back so soon? Yeah, I said, looking right at her. I saw Marcus leaving. She didn't hesitate. She didn't stumble over her words. She looked straight into my eyes and lied as easily as if it were nothing. Oh, yes, she said. He just came by to drop off some songbooks for the choir. He was only here for a minute. I was in the shower. That's why I'm in my robe. I barely saw him at the door. It was a lie. I knew it was a lie. Marcus had been inside for at least the 10 minutes I was watching, probably longer. And songbooks? We didn't use physical songbooks anymore. Everything was on tablets and screens. But I didn't challenge her. Not yet. I knew if I accused her without proof, she would twist it against me. She would cry. She would call the pastor. She would tell the whole church I was jealous and controlling. She was an expert at this. I needed proof. Solid, undeniable proof. The next day, while Sarah was at her Bible study, I went to a special electronics store in the city. I bought 3 small hidden cameras. One looked like a smoke alarm. One looked like a phone charger. One looked like a bedside clock. I set them up that afternoon. I put the smoke alarm in the living room. I put the clock in the bedroom. I put the charger in the kitchen. Then I waited. It took 3 days. On Saturday morning, I told Sarah I had a big landscaping job in another town. I told her I would be gone all weekend. Oh, that's a shame, she said, trying not to smile. I'll miss you, but don't worry about me. I'll just focus on getting ready for the big service tomorrow. Tomorrow was Family Dedication Sunday. It was the largest service of the year. The church would be full. A visiting bishop was coming. It was a major event. I drove my truck around the block, left it at a friend's house, a friend who didn't go to our church, and I sat there with my laptop, watching the live video from my home. At 10 in the morning, Marcus arrived. He didn't knock. He used a key. A key. My wife had given another man a key to our home. I watched on the screen as they met in the living room. They didn't pray. They didn't talk about spreadsheets. They kissed. It was horrible. Is he gone? Marcus asked, taking off his jacket. Yes, Sarah laughed. He thinks he's trimming trees 2 counties over. We have the whole weekend. Good, Marcus smiled. I'm tired of hiding. When are you going to leave him? Sarah, you said you would. I will, she said, touching his face. But we have to be clever. If I divorce him now, I get half. But if I can make him seem like the problem, maybe I can get the house. I just need a few more months to arrange some things with the money. I sat in my truck shaking with anger. They weren't just having an affair. They were planning to ruin me financially. They were making fun of me. They went to the bedroom. I won't describe what I saw next in detail, but let's just say they weren't thinking about their wedding vows. The camera in the clock captured everything. Clear video, perfect sound. I watched for about an hour. It was the most difficult hour of my life. Every second of the recording felt like a stab in the heart, but I saved it all. I saved it to my computer. I backed it up online. Then I made my plan. I could have gone home and confronted them. I could have called the authorities. I could have lost my temper, but that was too simple. They wanted to embarrass me. They wanted to take my home. They wanted to play a game. Okay, we would play. I stayed at my friend's house that night. I didn't sleep. I spent the night editing. I took the video from the living room. I took the video from the bedroom. I mixed it with some of the holy pictures from the church's website, pictures of Marcus preaching, pictures of Sarah singing. I created a perfect display of their two-faced behavior. Sunday morning came. The sun was bright. Birds were chirping. It was a lovely day for a reckoning. I drove to the church early. I got there at 7. Usually, a young man named Timmy ran the sound and video booth. Timmy was a good kid, but he was easy to persuade. I walked up to the booth in the balcony. "Hey, Timmy," I said. "Oh, hi, Mr. David," Timmy said, stretching. "What are you doing here so early?" "I have a surprise for Sarah," I lied. "For Family Dedication Sunday, I made a special video for her. I want to play it during the announcements. It's a surprise, so don't tell anyone." "That's really nice," Timmy smiled. "Sure. Do you have the file?" "Actually," I said, "I'd like to run the booth today. I want to start the video at just the right time. Why don't you take the morning off? Go sit with your family. I'll handle the projector and the sound." Timmy looked happy. "Really? You'd do that? My grandmother is here today. I'd love to sit with her." "Go ahead," I said, patting his shoulder. "I've got it." Timmy left. I was alone in the control room. I locked the door. I loaded my file onto the main computer. I named it welcomevideo.mp4. The church began to fill up. It was crowded. There were over 500 people. The bishop was sitting in the front row in his purple robes. Then Sarah walked in. She looked glowing. She was wearing a white dress. She looked like an angel. She walked down the center aisle shaking hands, hugging people. Then Marcus walked in. He was wearing his finest suit. He walked next to his wife, Joyce, holding her hand. He looked like the image of a loyal husband. They sat in the front row on different sides of the aisle. The service started. The choir sang. Sarah had a solo. She stood up, took the microphone, and sang Amazing Grace. Her voice was beautiful. People had their hands raised. Some were weeping. From my spot in the balcony, I watched her. I watched the performance. "That saved a wretch like me," she sang. "You have no idea," I whispered to the empty booth. After the songs, it was time for the announcements. Marcus walked up to the front. He adjusted the microphone. He looked out at the crowd with that confident, polished smile. "Good morning, church family," Marcus said loudly. "Today is a special day, a day we honor the bond of family, the bond of marriage, the promise we make to God." He paused for effect. "The Bible tells us," Marcus went on, "that a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one. Faithfulness, loyalty, truth. These are the foundations of our community." I felt sick. The nerve of this man. He was preaching about loyalty while he still smelled like my wife. "Before our pastor comes up," Marcus said, "we have a short video to welcome our guests and celebrate our families. Please direct your attention to the main screen." This was it. Marcus stepped down and stood in front of the first row, looking up at the huge screen above the altar. It was 20 feet wide. I put my finger on the mouse. I took a deep breath. "Let there be light," I whispered. I clicked play. The screen came to life. At first, there was quiet. Then the sound started. It wasn't church music. It was the sound of a door opening. The video was the footage from my living room. It was perfectly clear. The whole church watched as Marcus, the man who just preached about faithfulness, walked into my house. They watched him hug Sarah. A low noise spread through the crowd. People were puzzled. They thought maybe it was a play, a lesson about temptation. Then the talking started. "Sarah, on screen, is he gone?" "Marcus, on screen, yes. He thinks he's planting trees." "I'm tired of hiding." The noise turned into a loud gasp. I saw Marcus freeze. He stood there staring at the screen, his jaw open. Sarah, who was sitting with the choir, stood up. She looked terrified. I didn't stop the video. It switched to the bedroom scene. Now, I had blocked out the most private parts. I wasn't going to show that in a church. But I didn't block their faces, and I certainly didn't block the sound. The noises of them together filled the whole building, the whispers, the private words. It was made louder by the massive church speakers. It echoed. The reaction was instant chaos. Joyce, Marcus's wife, let out a scream I will always remember. It was a raw, painful cry. She fell into her seat. The bishop stood up, his face red. "Turn it off. Turn it off," he yelled, waving his arms. People were covering their children's ears. Some were running for the exits. Others were just staring, unable to look away from the disaster. On screen, their private conversation continued. "Marcus, on screen, David is such a fool. He actually believes you love him. Sarah, on screen, he's weak, but his business is doing well. Once I get the money, we'll buy that boat you talked about." The crowd turned against them. I saw people yelling at Sarah. I saw a church leader moving toward Marcus. Marcus finally broke from his shock. He turned and looked up at the balcony. He saw me standing in the window of the booth. His eyes were full of rage. He pointed at me. "Stop it, David. Stop it," he screamed, but his voice was lost in the sound of his own betrayal. He started running up the aisle. He was coming for me. I picked up the microphone in the booth. It was connected to the main system, the speakers that are louder than everything else. I paused the video on a frozen image of their faces, kissing. "Brothers and sisters," my voice thundered through the church. Marcus stopped running. Everyone looked up. "I apologize for the break," I said calmly, "but Brother Marcus was just telling us about the importance of truth. I thought I would help him make his point. Open this door." Marcus was now hitting the locked door of the booth. He was shouting awful words, language that definitely didn't belong in church. I ignored him. Sarah, I said, speaking to my wife who was shrinking back in the choir area. You wanted to wait a few months to divorce me. You wanted to make me seem at fault so you could take the house. The church went silent. Even the babies stopped crying. Well, I continued, I'm filing for divorce tomorrow. And thanks to this video and the laws about cheating, you won't get the house. You won't get the business. You won't even get the car. David, please, Sarah cried into her microphone, which was still on. I'm sorry. It was an error. An error is forgetting to take out the trash, I said. This was a plan. And Marcus, I heard Marcus kicking the door. The wood was cracking. Joyce deserves better. And so does this church. I pressed the button to bring the screen down. Then I grabbed my laptop. I unlocked the door just as Marcus broke through. He swung a punch at me. I moved aside. He was unsteady, furious, and not in good shape. He tripped and fell into the soundboard, sending a loud screech through the speakers that made everyone cover their ears. I stepped over him. You're finished, Marcus, I said. God might forgive you, but the tax office won't. What? He breathed, looking up at me. Oh, yes, I smiled. I heard you talking on the recording about how you've been taking money from the church donations to pay for your secret meetings. I sent that part to the church accountant and the police this morning. Marcus lost all color. The fight left him. He lay there on the floor, beaten. I walked out of the booth. I walked down the stairs. The lobby was in total disorder. People were fighting. Joyce was being helped by a group of women. The bishop was on his phone, probably calling an attorney. As I walked out the main doors, Sarah ran after me. David, wait. She grabbed my arm. Her makeup was ruined. She looked hopeless. Where are you going? We can discuss this. We can get help. I pulled my arm away. I looked at her. The woman I had loved for 7 years. The woman I thought was my other half. I felt nothing. No love, no anger, just a hollow sadness. I'm going to get something to eat, I said. I'm very hungry. And Sarah? Yes, she asked, a little hope in her voice. Don't go home. I changed the locks this morning. Your things are in bags on the front yard. My attorney will contact you. I got in my truck and drove away. The aftermath was total. The video didn't just stay in the church. Someone in the crowd had been recording the service on their phone to share online. The clip of what happened spread everywhere. It got millions of views in days. Grace Waters Community Church was destroyed. The shame was too great. Half the members left. The bishop had to step down for not paying attention. Marcus was arrested 2 weeks later. The Financial Review proved what I heard on the tape. He had taken over $50,000 from the church savings to fund his secret life. He is now serving a 3-year sentence for theft and lying about money. Joyce divorced him and took everything he had left. Sarah ended up with nothing. We had a marriage agreement that I had asked for, ironically, on her father's advice years ago, which had a strict rule about unfaithfulness. Between that agreement and the video proof, the judge gave her nothing. She didn't get the house. She didn't get any support money. The last I heard, she moved to another part of the country. She's working as a server in a restaurant. She tried to join a church choir there, but because of the famous video, someone knew who she was. They told her to leave. As for me, I sold the house. I couldn't stay there anymore. Too many memories. I took the money and moved to the coast. I bought a little boat. I started a new landscaping business near the ocean. I don't attend church anymore. I find my peace in the ocean, in the dawn, and in the quiet of a simple life. I learned something important that day. A church isn't the building, and it isn't the people in the nice clothes. And forgiveness is important. I forgive them, but I also ended their deception because sometimes a storm is needed to clean out the lies. And sometimes, that storm is just a man with a hidden camera and a projector.